Question. Hi Kim, I'm thankful for all the videos uploaded by you on YouTube. It helps me a lot. Can you please explain the mechanism behind the feeling of justice and injustice? When wronged, why do we feel like getting back at them, often violently? Why people who go around bullying others or act in selfish ways in public seem so empowered? If there is a demon supporting them, can we temporarily cut them off from it by chanting Shiva or visualizing Archangel Michael's blue flame around them? Is there a quick trick to hold our peace while dealing with such people, or is it a golden moment where we can catch our subconscious selves in the act and hence just observe and analyze ourselves? Can you please share your personal experience of dealing with such people or scenarios and how you overcame the feeling of burning on the inside at that time? Thank you. Well, so the question. Is there a quick trick to hold our peace by dealing with such people, or is it a golden moment where we can catch our subconscious selves in the act and hence just observe and analyze ourselves? Yes, it's the latter. It is when you are exposed to other people that are doing anything that disturbs you, it's always an opportunity to look at yourself. You look at your reactionary patterns and say, why am I reacting this way? Now the question is focused on bullying, which is a very real problem, but it's not a life-threatening problem. It's like somebody trying to kill you, right? So in terms of bullying, it is something you can deal with more in the mind, because you can deal with your reaction to the bully. And what I would say is, again, you know, the question is, can we temporarily cut them off by chanting Shiva or visualizing Archangel Michael's blue flame around them? This may have an effect, but it depends on their free will. What you can do is chant Shiva or visualize Archangel Michael around yourself to cut you off from the reaction, so that temporarily the self is neutralized. It doesn't remove it, because you have to make a conscious decision to dismiss the illusion. But at least you can get some temporary relief from your reactionary patterns. I've often used this Shiva when I feel I have some kind of a reaction, or when I feel a projection at me. I use the Shiva to create a shield of energy around me, so I'm protected from these energetic projections, and it often gives me a sense of relief. You can also go like this: Siddhi, 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 Siddhi. It can also clear negative energy. So you can have some temporary reprieve, but in the long run, the only thing to deal with this is to realize that this all comes from subconscious selves. And only when you separate the conscious you from the subconscious selves, see them from the outside, see they're just illusions, can you really be free of it? If you really go into, like the question starts out with, the mechanism behind the feeling of justice and injustice. This is a much deeper question, because, and I've talked about it in several videos, because it really goes down to this, that when we step into duality, and I've explained this in several videos, that we can see ourselves as connected beings, or we can step below a certain threshold of consciousness and we go into the illusion that we're separate beings. And then we start using the duality consciousness. And the duality consciousness always has two opposite polarities. And it can define, for example, this is justice, this is injustice. But this is a relative definition centered around yourself. So basically what you are defining in your mind is that if somebody does something to me that I don't like, that's injustice. So it's not an objective, universal definition. But if you really even step back from that, you see that the duality consciousness is based on creating a mental image of how the world should work. Now, when you are a connected being, right, when you see yourself as connected to something outside your own mind, you're realizing there is a real world out there, and that world works in certain ways. And you realize you don't understand everything about how the world works, but you're constantly seeking to raise your consciousness so you grasp more and more of how the real world actually works. When you go into duality and separation, you are creating a mental image in your mind of how you think the world should work. And now you are projecting onto yourself, other people, the world, God, how everything should work according to your mental image. And your ego and the subconscious selves are tasked with defending, validating, expanding that mental image. So you have it all figured out. And so basically what you go into is you have a state of mind where you have this should happen, this shouldn't happen. And whenever something happens that you think shouldn't have happened, you feel injustice. This isn't just. The universe is unjust. Why is God doing this to me? And the only way out of it in the long run is really to see that this is all illusion. It's a complete illusion created when you stepped into separation. It's maintained by these subconscious selves, and you need to dismiss them one by one. That's really the process of spiritual growth, is to overcome, at least at the first stage, is to overcome these illusions. And you can say, when wronged, why do we feel like getting back at them, often violently? Well, the more you feel like getting back to other people, the more it shows how attached you are to your own illusion of what should or shouldn't happen. The more attachment you have to that illusion, the less you have started seeing it as an illusion, the more you think it's real, the more disturbed you are when the world doesn't live up to your illusion, the more angry you become, and you feel like you have to take this out at somebody. And obviously you can't really take it out on God or the universe, so you take it out on other people if they are the ones who did something. And that's what you see. You see, for example, in the Middle East, way back centuries ago, somebody from one tribe did something to somebody from another tribe. They believed in an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So they did something back. But the first group felt that was unjust, so they did something back. And they've been going back and forth for thousands of years. Revenge, 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 revenge for revenge. Right? And as the Chinese saying is, when you set out for revenge, first dig 2 graves. And that's what they've been doing. They've been digging a grave for themselves as another ever since, and you see the result right now in Gaza of that mentality. It never ends until somebody says, oh, is it necessary? Is it constructive? Is it what we want? Do we want to live this way for the rest of our lives? And then they start becoming open to what almost every religion says. Do unto others. Turn the other cheek. Change yourself before you try to change the universe. Change the way you look at the world instead of trying to change the world. And that's the only way out of it. Otherwise you just keep feeding the spiral, because what has happened in the Middle East is that they have created these collective energetic spirals that are like a maelstrom in the emotional body, both of individual people and collectively. And it pulls on this collectively created maelstrom, pulls on the emotional bodies of individuals and overpowers them. So they are pulled into this, we have to seek revenge. And they all get pulled into it until somebody starts pulling themselves out of it. And if you're a spiritual person, you obviously do not want to tie yourself to this. So you want to do everything you can to look at these subconscious selves. Why do I feel so strongly about this? And realize it is just a self. There is no reality to it. Okay? And there's actually an important sentence in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. I can't remember where, but the saying is, Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. And it's actually an expression of the law of karma, where if somebody hurts another person, they're making karma that will be returned to them. So that means that the person who was hurt does not need to seek revenge in order to establish some kind of justice. If you attack back and seek revenge, you're creating karma for yourself that will return to you in the future. So now both people are creating these karmic spirals. And the only way to break it is to do what Jesus said. Turn the other cheek. Forgive 70 times 7.